All right, let's dive into something that really makes you think. Have you ever considered how certain powerful ideas, maybe even ones that seem really divisive, can just completely reshape societies?
Yeah, and how that feeling of absolute certainty, being completely right, can spark both incredible creativity and, well, some pretty dangerous actions.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's precisely what we're digging into today. We're embarking on a deep dive into Will Durant's incredible work, The Reformation. It's volume 6 of his massive The Story of Civilization.
And this isn't just some dry history book, is it? It's more like a masterclass in exploring a really pivotal era, all told with amazing skill.
Totally. And just so you know, you are experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation. This is powered by Google's NotebookLM, designed for deeper, more dynamic book analysis.
Right. And our mission here is pretty clear. We want to unpack how Durant, who was this renowned historian and philosopher, really guides you through that tangled web of faith, power, and culture during the Reformation. That's roughly 1300 to 1564.
Yeah, we're not just looking at what happened. We're really focusing on how Durant frames it all to show those ongoing tensions between, certainty and tolerance.
And Durant's credibility here is, well, it's huge. His reputation for clear writing, deep analysis, meticulous research, it's not just hype.
No, definitely not. The whole Story of Civilization series won a Pulitzer Prize. He really established this authoritative, trustworthy voice guiding you through such a complex time.
And the timing of this particular book, The Reformation, is fascinating too. It came out in 1957. Think about that the world was still processing World War II.
Okay, so people were searching for meaning, trying to figure out where Western society was heading.
Well, precisely. And Durant presents the Reformation, that whole period from 1300 to 1564, not just as a religious thing, but as this crucial turning point, a catalyst for modern Europe, really.
So it spoke directly to that post-war audience, and probably still speaks to us now.
Absolutely. He was writing for educated readers, people interested in Europe's big shifts, intellectual, religious, social, but he managed to be scholarly and accessible. He wanted to inform, sure, but also to make you think, really reflect.
So his main goal wasn't just listing events.
Not at all. I mean, yes, he chronicles the Reformation, but fundamentally he's analyzing its causes, the personalities, the ripple effects, and deeper than that, he's kind of questioning those inherited beliefs we all have.
Probing the clashes between faith, power, reason.
Exactly. And underneath it all, there's this implicit call for reflective tolerance. Like, that's essential for a truly civilized society.
Okay. And the book itself covers a lot of ground, right? Theology, Luther, Calvin.
Yeah, absolutely. The theological revolutions, yes, but also the rise of humanism, figures like Erasmus, plus major political changes, cultural shifts, huge social upheavals.
And he weaves it all together.
Masterfully. He connects the deep doctrinal debates with vivid sketches of the key players and the bigger forces shaking up society. It's quite a feat.
One thing that jumps out right away is his tone. How would you describe it?
It's very measured, reflective, definitely ethically grounded, but there's often the subtle layer of irony too.
Irony, interesting. How so?
Well, he manages this tricky balance. He clearly admires the passion, the conviction of the era, but he's also deeply skeptical of the intolerance and the, frankly, brutal violence that came with it.
Right. So he contrasts the ideals with the often messy, even ugly reality.
Exactly. The reformers' high-minded goals versus the fanaticism and make-it ambition that often resulted. It makes you pause.
That balance is key. You mentioned admiring the passion but critiquing the fanaticism. How does he make us feel that? How does he get beyond just stating facts and evoke real emotion?
That's where his skill really shines. He brings the human element right to the front. You don't just read about martyrdom. You get these vivid accounts that hit you.
Like the peasant uprisings.
Yes, the raw intensity there. Or the sweeping cultural changes. He uses anecdotes, personal stories brilliantly. You feel Luther's internal struggles, wrestling with his conscience. Or you grasp Calvin's unbending rigorism shaping Geneva.
So these aren't just footnotes. They're central to understanding the stakes.
Absolutely. They dramatize the huge human impact behind what could otherwise seem like dry theological arguments. It encourages a kind of moral seriousness, but sometimes also, maybe a wry smile at the absurdity of some of the fanaticism.
So it pushes you to reflect rather than just pick a side.
Precisely. No simple heroes or villains here. It's much more complex than that.
Okay, so I've got the scope, the tone, the emotional pull. But his method, How he actually builds his arguments, that seems crucial. How does he connect all these threads?
Right, he's definitely constructing an argument, not just telling a story. And a big part of that is his command of logic and structure. He's very careful about laying out causes and effects.
He backs it up.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't just state things. He shows you using specific statistics, relevant quotes, references to primary sources. It's very well supported.
I notice he often starts with something small, almost intimate, like a snapshot of daily life or a specific debate, and then zooms out.
That's a great observation. That's exactly his technique. He uses inductive reasoning, starting with specific cases, like you said, and then showing how they reveal larger historical patterns.
And does he work the other way, too? Start big and then drill down.
He does. He uses deductive judgments, too. He'll offer these broader insights about progress or intolerance or human nature and then illustrate them with those vivid, specific examples. It makes the huge sweep of history feel much more grounded and understandable.
His overarching structure is chronological, though, mostly.
Primarily chronological, yes, but within that framework, he weaves these complex, interlocking arguments about how religion, politics, economics, and culture were all constantly influencing each other. It's not a simple linear path.
Let's talk about his language. It feels crafted, not just informative, but evocative.
He really is a craftsman with words, isn't he? The language feels elevated, sophisticated, but somehow still vivid and really approachable.
Yeah, he uses scholarly words, but also paints these pictures.
Exactly. He can explain really complex theological or philosophical ideas with amazing clarity, and crucially, he avoids that dense academic jargon that can make history feel inaccessible.
And the rhythm of his sentences.
Yes, it's quite varied. He'll use these long, flowing sentences that build up momentum towards a powerful point, and then bam, a short, sharp sentence to really make it land.
It keeps you engaged.
Totally. It creates this compelling rhythm. And he uses metaphors so effectively, too, describing belief as a deadly enemy to the human mind, or the whole era as a great drama.
Those aren't just fancy words. They help you grasp the ideas.
Precisely. They make abstract concepts feel concrete and memorable.
Okay, so organizing this massive amount of history, that must have been a huge challenge. What stands out about his structural choices? How did he make it manageable?
That's a really key point. His structure is quite sophisticated. Yes, it's broadly chronological, but he constantly weaves in these topical chapters.
Like focusing on humanism for a bit or the monarchies.
Exactly, or dedicating chapters to key figures. This lets him zoom in on specific themes or people and then zoom back out to the bigger picture. It's like moving between a close-up and a wide shot.
It stops it from just being one event after another.
Right. It gives you both the individual stories and the broad societal trends. A very effective way to handle such a vast subject.
And I also notice he revisits certain themes: intolerance, fanaticism, the danger of dogma.
Yes. He uses repetition and parallelism quite deliberately. He keeps coming back to those core ideas, looking at them from slightly different angles, reinforcing his main thesis about that tension between faith and freedom.
He's also great at putting things side by side, isn't he? Like the humanists versus the reformers.
Absolutely. That juxtaposition and contrast is a powerful tool for him. Humanist idealism against reformer rigor. Royal ambitions against popular uprisings. It highlights the conflicts and complexities.
And he uses allusions, too.
Yeah, drawing connections to classical history, the Bible, even things closer to his own time to kind of ground his arguments. And, as we touched on, that effective use of irony and humor.
Right, especially when looking at how things sometimes went sideways. That quote.
There is no wild beast like an angry theologian. It's sharp, it's memorable, and sadly, probably still relevant.
It really is. You see echoes of that even today, maybe online. How quickly strong conviction can turn nasty.
What we're dissecting here isn't just historical analysis, though. It's really about how to engage deeply with complex information. It's actually similar to how we encourage deeper thought in our Mindful Moments series.
Absolutely. On our YouTube channel, Mindful Moments offers AI book analysis specifically designed to inspire reflection and rational thought. It's about moving beyond just consuming information to critically engaging with it.
Okay, so bringing it back to Durant's book, what's the overall achievement? Why does this nearly 70-year-old book still feel so important?
Well, I think his achievement is just immense. He gives you this sweeping panoramic view, but it's packed with sharp analysis. It's got narrative drive and intellectual depth.
And he helps you see the Reformation not just as this isolated religious event, but as absolutely pivotal in shaping the modern world.
Right. And he forces you into a nuanced view, appreciating both the sort of promise and the definite peril that comes with absolute certainty.
And it's accessible. That's key, too. It's sophisticated, deep, but you don't need a PhD in theology to get it. And he works hard to avoid taking sides, avoiding that sectarian bias.
He really delivers on what you expect: deep information and genuine insight.
That's a great way to put it. His fairness is really noticeable, but with a book this huge, covering centuries, did you ever feel the nuance got a bit lost? Or that his own views maybe crept in too much?
That's a fair question for any historian writing on this scale.
Yeah.
I mean, his arguments are generally really solid, well supported.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the scope is so vast, and he does make occasional moral judgments, sometimes the line between analysis and, let's say, subtle editorializing can get a little blurry.
A risk he probably knew he was taking.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
But he consistently champions fairness. He points out exaggerations on all sides in stories of victims and victors. He doesn't shy away from the suffering and violence. Definitely not.
But he also warns against judging the past by our standards today, right? That presentism.
Exactly. He reminds you that what seems barbaric now was often a reaction to real fears and anxieties back then. And his evidence is just so broad: theology, social statistics, personal letters. It really backs up his main conclusions.
So let's nail down that core message, the big takeaway, the so what for the listener.
Okay. I think it boils down to this. Through this incredible narrative, meticulous research, and that blend of irony and empathy, Durant shows how faith, power, and culture all collided to forge the modern West.
And his real genius, his rhetorical mastery, isn't just in telling the story, but in guiding you, the reader, to understand those timeless tensions, certainty versus tolerance.
Yeah. And that lesson feels just as vital today as it was when he wrote it. Maybe even more so.
Because these aren't just historical issues, they're ongoing human struggles.
And his analysis goes even deeper, showing the limits of reform itself, the dangers lurking in certainty, those unexpected consequences.
Right, the ironies of history. And how he gives voice to so many different groups: Catholics, Protestants, monarchs, rebels, humanists. It shows how you need different approaches to address different perspectives.
It's not just facts, it's the whole complex dance of belief, persuasion, and how even good intentions can go wrong.
Which brings us back to why it's still so relevant. His cultural sensitivity is remarkable. He puts the intolerance and violence in context.
He shows that Catholic crackdowns and Protestant strictness were, in part, responses to genuine social anxieties of their time.
Exactly. And he draws parallels to modern issues without making it seem like history just repeats itself identically. He invites you to see the patterns, to think about how those struggles from centuries ago echo in our world right now.
So, as we wrap up, maybe the big question Durant leaves us wrestling with is this. In our own time, where do we see those same tensions playing out? Certainty versus tolerance.
Yeah, how do absolute beliefs, whether they're religious, political, social, how do they continue to shape our society? And sometimes how do they challenge that very pursuit of a civilized life?
It really makes you think. For more deep dives like this, analyses that really push you to reflect and think rationally, definitely explore Mindful Moments over on our YouTube channel.
And also check out our podcasts for discussions on a whole range of impactful books.
And if you want to truly grasp the incredible breadth and depth of Durant's work on the Reformation, click the link you see on screen for the in-depth book summary.
Please subscribe to the channel, share this discussion if you found it interesting, perhaps with someone else who enjoys these kinds of explorations.
You might also consider picking up a copy of the book itself using the link provided. And most importantly, keep thinking critically about the powerful ideas that shape our world.